I want to get ourselves situated because you serve customers across 8 states, from Texas to North Dakota. And we were talking a lot today about how a lot of these states are seeing a huge surge in electricity demand tied to the AI build-out. How prepared are our grids to handle this giant influx when it comes to this?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. What a terrific question, and something we talk about every single day at Xcel Energy. You're right, we have a large footprint across 8 states, and data centers are driving electricity demand both this decade, and we even see more growth into next decade with our large data center customers. Big piece of our growth, you mentioned Texas and New Mexico. We serve also oil and gas customers in the Permian and Delaware basins, some of the largest, most prolific oil and gas customers in the country, and we're building infrastructure for them too, transmission, generation, distribution. So artificial intelligence is an incredible asset for the country, and data centers are critical infrastructure, but they're not the only things that are causing electric growth across our territories.
I want to talk about, though, one of these deals, because you signed a relatively massive deal with Google for a project in Minnesota, and I was pretty struck by this stat. Electric bills for Xcel Energy customers over the past 5 years were 29% below the national average. But as more hyperscalers get on the grid, can you keep that success rate up?
We're proud of our affordability progress with our customers. We do serve 6 of the lowest 10 cost utilities in the country, so I'm really proud of that fact. Actually, data centers and data center development help keep bills affordable for our customers. If you think about the Pine Island transaction we did with Google, this is about a 750 megawatt data center where Google's going to pay for all of their infrastructure costs. They're going to pay for the full rate of their transmission usage, not a discount rate or an economic development rate as we used to call them, but the full rate. And they're going to build all the new generation. We're going to build it, own it, and operate it on behalf of them, but they're going to pay for all the new generation that's going to serve their customers. And because of where we serve, we have an interesting and unique footprint at Xcel Energy. We can do it with wind, solar, large-scale batteries, and they're going to pay for all that, protect our existing customers. And in fact, because they're paying full transmission rates, we're going to see that over a 10 to 15 year period, we're actually going to save our customers $1 to $1.5 billion over a 15-year period. That translates to 1 to 2% lower transmission costs for all of our residential customers. That's a way to help lower bills over time as opposed to raise them due to data center infrastructure.
I wanted to pull out some more specific stats because Xcel has raised its 5-year capital plan by 33% to $60 billion. At what point does that rate of spending, though, become a concern for existing ratepayers? Is that going to get passed through?
It's a great question. Look, we're building a more modern, more resilient, more sustainable grid of the future, and that comes with investment. So it is sustainable. Over the last decade, we've been able to keep our bills well below the rate of inflation for our customers. And we expect over the next decade, we can keep it at or just above inflation and make sure that our customers have a more modern, more resilient, more sustainable grid for their everyday usage, as well as energizing new industries like the oil and gas industry in the Permian Basin, like data centers across all 8 of our states.
I believe you're committed to closing coal plants by 2030, right? But given that we were talking about the need for more energy, is that timeline still realistic?
So yesterday we filed our 21st sustainability report. I'm proud to say that Xcel Energy has lowered our carbon footprint since 2005 by 58%, and we're on a trajectory to be carbon-free by the middle of the century. Sustainable, yes. We've actually planned these commitments for over a decade, and we've built the infrastructure, or in the process of building the infrastructure, to make sure that we can meet the commitment to serve our customers reliably and affordably in the absence of coal, but we'll come back with wind, solar, storage, and natural gas as backup generation to make sure that we have a resilient and reliable grid for our customers.
I wanted to ask you about natural gas because we're seeing geopolitical tensions, what's happening in the Middle East, renew this conversation about energy security. Has that changed how you're thinking about natural gas, particularly as you're trying to make this bridge away from coal power?
You know, what's interesting about our conflict with the Russian conflict with Ukraine or the Iranian conflict with the United States is we've seen very little price movement in natural gas during the duration of those events. That means that we have an enormous natural gas resource here in the United States that when we need to, we can tap into it harder and faster. So we've been able to have energy security and resiliency here in the United States despite having global geopolitical conflicts. And we've had price stability, at least on the natural gas side. And so that makes me confident that when we need the gas, we'll have access to it. And when we have access to it, it'll remain reasonably affordable for our customers.
Let's also talk about the broader alternative energy space, renewable energy. I'm wondering what you've made of the Trump administration's approach when it comes to sometimes delaying or canceling permits related to these projects. Has that changed anything in the way that you're doing business? We've
been building wind farms. We serve states that basically straddle the Great Plains, from Minnesota and the Dakotas to Colorado and Texas and New Mexico. One of the greatest wind resources, not just in the country, but in the world, to build wind farms. So we've been a leader in wind energy for 25 years. I think that's going to go unabated for us because we can, with the same amount of capital, deliver a lower cost energy product to our customers using wind. So our projects that are under construction remain under construction. Our projects that are in development are still in development. We're working through the permitting challenges, and we feel like we're going to be successful with wind now, wind into the future. And increasingly, we're doing a lot of solar, particularly in our southwestern business. You can imagine, Texas, New Mexico, southern parts of Colorado are incredible solar resources. And then lastly, I'd say, batteries have been an incredible asset for both the country and for Xcel Energy. And we're going to build the largest long-duration energy storage project as part of this Google deal you mentioned in Minnesota with Form Energy. I'm really excited about commercializing new technologies to make sure that we can remain on a sustainability journey that we've been on for half a century.
In the final minute that I have you, I did want to ask you about something that's come up here today, which is this potential NextEra Dominion merger. I'm just wondering your thoughts on it, if that's making you think about your positioning any differently.
Well, look, we've had an enormous partnership with NextEra over 25 years. They've been a partner in helping us build and own and operate wind and solar resources. We've actually announced a joint development agreement with NextEra to continue to build wind and solar and battery resources to serve data centers across our 8 states. They called us as they were engaging in this transaction. They've committed to our joint development agreement not changing in its structure or stature. And so I'm excited for them and their journey, but it's not going to affect our journey in our partnerships with NextEra.